Today we're going to discuss some of the biggest outstanding mysteries in My Hero Academia. And to do this today, I have one of my fellow favorite My Hero Academia YouTubers with me. Now, he and I have collabed before on his channel, and it would be amazing if you guys would subscribe to him and check him out. His channel is called My Hero My Life. How are you doing, man?
Oh, dude, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
No problem, man. But before we get into it, massive spoiler warning to anyone reading or anyone watching, sorry, who's not read the manga, as we're going to be going into like some of the most recent arcs and things that have happened. So the first mystery that I wanted to talk to you about, in terms of the future of like the quirk destroying and quirk restoring bullets, I mean, we saw in the overhaul arc recently that, Shigaraki stole a bunch of them. So what do you think is the future of these bullets? Like, are they going to be used in the upcoming war arc, do you think?
No, exactly. That's a perfect moment for him to use them and use those on heroes. Whether it's just a whole group of people have a bunch of guns with them, or even imagine one person with a machine gun chucked full of these bullets. Like that would just
Whoa.
be super crazy, right?
I've never even thought about that. Imagine that, a machine gun full of like quirk destroying bullets.
Mhm.
That should be illegal. That should be illegal.
Right. Right. I mean, imagine hundreds of pro heroes coming at you, and all you have is this machine gun, taking them all out,
Mm,
and there you go. Like hundreds of heroes no longer have quirks, literally gone forever or until
yeah.
they get their quirk back. Because honestly, my theory is, and we can, if we want to get to this later, but my theory is that MIRIO will definitely get his quirk back. I think that the way Aries quirk works is it more rewinds things. And so it just takes time to get back up to speed to when you
Mm,
actually had your quirk. Another thing I had, and this is completely in a different direction, but if the police could ever get their hands on the quirk destroying stuff, um, I actually don't think it'd be a bad idea. Maybe not to the degree where it actually destroys the quirk, but there were bullets prior to this that showed them take quirks away for a moment in time. And so I actually think it'd be great if the police could get their hands on it and they start to use this to kind of stop villains, specifically to be able to arrest them and things like that.
yeah, because like you said, those were the prototype versions, right? The ones that were used on like Tamaki and was it used on anyone else? I think it was just Tamaki actually that it was used on.
Yeah, I think
But
I think that's what we saw it on exactly.
yeah, that would be really interesting because like you could take out, for example, I mean, we're gonna get to it in a second, but Shigaraki with his new power, we have like no idea what it's gonna be, but we know it's gonna be insane. So if you could just like hit him with one of the bullets, and then one hero just comes in and gets him in the face, knocks him out or something, that could work. Um,
Right.
but yeah, we may as well move on to that. So obviously in the latest chapter, we saw Shigaraki in that tub, like sort of like Darth Vader or something, and getting
Yeah.
his recovering from whatever Dr. Ujiko did to him. So what do you think, like realistically, will be the extent of his new power, especially given that we know that the Doctor can replicate quirks now?
Yeah, well, I actually feel like this is somewhat of a comparison to when Deku was preparing and training his body to receive the quirk from All Might. And so I kind of feel like that is what's going on with Shigaraki right now, is that they're preparing him and maybe they're giving him an ability, but they're specifically, he's going through a training, a metamorphosis, whatever you want to call it, a change so that he will be ready to get the quirk from All for One. Because I don't think this is the quirk itself. I don't think he's getting that, but obviously he is his successor, so he needs to get it sooner or later. And so I think he's preparing his body. And I think like a typical anime, sooner or later, like Shigaraki's going to have a new form because almost
Mm,
every anime bad guy, like they change forms. I mean, even Overhaul, he used his quirk to look different by the end of it with the fight with Deku. And so I imagine him coming out and being able to do something. I don't have specifics, but it will, specifically make him look different. However, the whole purpose of this is get him closer to being ready for All for One's quirk.
yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, yeah, like you say, he is the successor, so it's almost inevitable that he will get all for one in some way. What I was thinking of though is that his original decay quirk, like we saw in the My Villain Academia arc, how it evolved so that the things he touched, like he was decaying things that he wasn't even touching anymore. It was like things that are connected to things he's touching. So one of
Mm-hmm.
the things that I was thinking is that after this whole process is over, is it possible that he could decay things that he doesn't even touch at all? So, for example, he sticks his hand out and suddenly, like people just start evaporating and he's not even touched anything. Like
Wow.
he's just that
Wow.
would be yeah. That's one of the things I
That'd
was
be
thinking might
crazy.
happen. I mean, if that was the case, you
Yeah.
couldn't even get near him, right?
Yeah. So you think he's going more through like an evolution, like his quirk is getting taken to the next level?
I think so because just before he went in for that operation, I remember he was the doctor was like, "Oh, your quirk's finally awakened," and then Shigaraki was like, "Yeah, but look at my hand, like it's still been destroyed after I after what I did." So I think like when he comes out, his base decay quirk will 100% be better, just because of the way he was complaining about how his body reacted. But yeah, like you say, they're obviously gearing up to take All for One as well. There's no
Yeah.
question about that. But
Yeah.
this whole
And
thing
and
about
and
yeah,
and
go on.
going sorry, and going back to that, I really do want to stress, and I don't know why I feel like this is a big deal, but I really do think that out of this he will get some sort of new form. And maybe it even plays into what you were just saying, specifically with his quirk. Maybe he'll have almost like this decay form. Um,
Hmm.
where he looks different because again I just think this is something that is a very common trope in anime.
Yeah, I mean that is a good point because do you remember that panel like just before he went in, and it was like him inside a cocoon? It was just like an
Right,
image of
exactly.
yeah. I mean,
Metamorphosis. There's something changing. He is going to look different, or at least be able to have an ability to look different. I don't think he'll
hmm,
look, different all the time, but I think it'll be just something that a new transformation that he may be able to choose to do when he's fighting someone that's a big deal.
yeah. I mean, to be honest, we might even see it sooner than we think because I mean, the heroes, they're storming the hospital. Shigaraki is literally right there. I mean, what if he like hears what's going on and suddenly his like the glass around him starts to crack or something, and then he just escapes and starts killing all the pro heroes. Um,
Right,
But that
right,
being,
right.
yeah, I mean, it would be a bit early because he still has like another month to go. But I mean, that could happen potentially. But moving on from Shigaraki now. So we've spoken about what his potential upgrades might look like. But what about Deku? So we know that Deku's gonna get this float power from Nana Shimura. But in terms of the other quirks that are inside One for All, I remember Bakugo said that they weren't that great. But what do you think? What could they possibly be?
Yeah, so when I was thinking about it, and specifically these quirks, so we know he's going to get float, which is, similar to flying. At least it will look like he's going to be able to have battles in the sky to some degree, which is very similar to like Superman and other heroes like that. And then he's gotten the black whips, which to me is similar to Spider-Man. I feel like these quirks that he's getting are actually My Hero Academia versions of very popular Western superhero quirks. And so, as I thought about it, what if he could control lightning like Thor? What if he
Oh,
could, create shields and be able to throw them like Captain America? There's so many different options available when you go that route. Um,
hmm,
however, However, with that being said, I wouldn't say that the character designs that we've seen really fit any of those ideas that I just threw out there. So, on a kind of a different, note of things, as I look at those guys and look at the way that they're designed, I think of different quirks. So, I was thinking about the guy that has like what would you call it, like a long coat, trench coat. It almost looks like Best Jeanist. And as I was thinking about his quirk, I started asking myself like, why are you wearing this coat? Like, what's the need for it? And I thought,
hmm,
what if inside of this huge coat are all these compartments, right? And so in each compartment, he has all these different things. What if he can control things with his mind, right? And so
okay.
he has on him all these support items in order to save people, in order to battle, in order to whatever is needed at that moment. And so it's not like, oh man, right now I could use a hammer. So I need to look around the room to see if I can find a hammer. No, I have one on me because whenever I need a hammer, I will use it. And not that I was like, oh, I have to grab it. I just use my mind. And if you even go back to what I just said, with hey, what if these powers are kind of similar to Western comics? There are plenty of characters that use their minds when it comes to items. What I think you call that like a telepath or something
Yeah,
similar to that.
telekinesis or something, right?
Telekinesis. There you go. Right. So what if he was just simply telekinetic? And I was even thinking about, if you look at the picture, I think it was the first time he's shown. It looks like he has bandages on his arms, and that reminded me of the material that Eraserhead uses to capture villains. Like, and that goes
Um,
back to this idea that he has all these different support items that he uses with his mind. So that was my thought for him. And that would then give, of course, Deku telekinesis, as we were just saying. And then finally, the other guy with like the scars on his face. I was
yeah, the
thinking
fourth
about
user.
that. Yeah. So I was thinking about him, and I was like, what if that's not a scar? Like, what if that's a mark? Like, what if it's this curse mark? And so, whenever he touches someone, right, that mark leaves him, goes through goes down his face, down his arm, and onto the individual. And now that individual is cursed for X amount of time. He can still do everything normal, but then sooner or later, that curse will get him, and he'll be completely disabled and just shut
Interesting.
down. And then he puts his hand back on the guy, and the curse mark goes back onto him, so he can transfer that to someone else later when he's fighting. That'd be a very interesting and unique quirk.
Yeah, that quirk would be kind of like supernatural in a way, wouldn't it? Sounds a bit like
Yeah, kind
magic.
of. Yeah, kind of. Which is, we haven't seen too much of that, I'd say, in this world, and it would be a fun way to see more of it.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, I really like that idea of them being like tied to Western superhero type powers because what I find is that Western superhero type powers are very simple, if you know what I mean. Like, for
Right.
example, Superman, like he can fly, he can, he's strong, stuff like that. So it does make sense because the earlier back you go into like the evolution of quirks, the simpler they are. So it would make sense they would be kind of like American superhero powers. Um, but yeah,
Right.
really good point, man. Oh yeah, so moving on, let's go to Deku's doctor potentially being well, not potentially. I mean, we basically know he's the same guy.
Yeah,
The
I
evil
think
doctor.
it's him for sure. Unless he has a
Yeah,
twin brother.
yeah, yeah. I'd say the odds of it not being him are like 1% now, but yeah.
Right.
So why do you think Horikoshi made this connection? Like, why have the evil doctor who's harvesting all these quirks and who has, all these Noma at his disposal? Why make him Deku's childhood doctor? What was the reason for that?
Well, I've heard this before. Some people think that Deku used to have a quirk, and that maybe the doctor was able to take it from him, and later this will be a big reveal that Deku always had a quirk. So that's a really good way of looking at it. I think another way you could just say is Hirokoshi just got lazy, but I doubt that. I very much doubt that, because he really does put a lot of work and effort into this. So, with that being said, I do think there has to be a reason. Do I know the reason? Well, there's no way I could. But that's why I do like the idea that maybe Deku originally had a quirk and he just stole it in the moment of when he was giving Deku his exam, for lack of better
Mm,
terms.
yeah. Or the other possibility, Horikoshi is just trolling everyone by doing this, and he needed a design for the evil doctor and was just like, you know what? Maybe I should just make Deku's doctor this evil guy. But yeah, that's a
Yeah,
possibility as
maybe.
well. But yeah, I mean, I do kind of like that theory that he did have a quirk that was stolen. But then at the same time, I'm
Hmm.
like, I don't know, because the whole thing about Deku was that he's this naturally born quirkless kid, and then this amazing thing happens to him. He gets given this power. So let's say he did have a quirk, and that the doctor never did this crazy thing. That kind of changes. That would have changed the whole trajectory of the show. Like the Deku we know was quirkless Deku. He worked so hard because he was quirkless. He took all those notes
Right.
about all those heroes because he was like, oh, one day I'm going to get my quirk, so I should take all these notes just
Hmm.
in case.
Yep.
And I'm like, if he
Exactly.
had a quirk
Exactly.
from the get, would he be the same person? I don't know. I don't think so.
No, not at all. No, it would completely change everything. But then it also could play into the idea that, All for One is really behind everything, and he's this even bigger mastermind than what he already seems. Like, what if he wanted Deku to get to get One for All? Like, what if that was his plan? I think I'd
Mm,
mentioned this before when you and I had collabed in a different video. I truly do believe that it's going to be revealed sometime that All for One is Deku's dad. And I know that can seem a little weird because they talk about what Deku's dad's quirk was, and that doesn't really fit up with it. Um,
Hmm.
but just knowing that Hirokoshi loves Star Wars, and we know that Darth Vader is, oh, spoiler warning, Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's dad.
Yeah,
I
I'm
just think
even
that
up.
I just think that would fit well, and that would play into more of how this whole thing had been orchestrated.
Yeah, yeah, no, I don't buy into that theory, but I do see the comparison. Like the Star Wars comparison is very obvious. I mean, what All for One, his design is almost like quite similar to Darth Vader, isn't it? Like the helmet and the way that's designed.
Right, right,
And I
exactly.
can see the Star Wars connection for sure. But I actually feel it would be kind of cheap if he was Deku's dad. Um, Especially when you consider the fact that All for One, we know he's aware of Deku because when he was fighting All Might, he said to All Might like Izuku Midoriya, like that's who you gave it to, right? So
Hmm.
if he knew that was his son, it would have been a good moment then to have said something, right? Like he'd been like Izuku Midoriya, oh
Right.
that's my son. Like you just gave it to my. I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't like it, but at the same time, like if it was to happen, I couldn't be like, oh this is out of nowhere because there is obvious signs there with the Doctor and
Right, right.
and the Star Wars connection. But
Yeah,
yeah, I
and
personally wouldn't.
I'm not saying it's the best thing. I'm not even saying that I like it. I'm just saying it wouldn't surprise me. I'm actually
Yeah.
I'm waiting for it. Like I'm expecting it for sure.
Oh right. Yeah. Every chapter you're just like, is this the one? Is this the time? All right, so on to the next topic. What do you think Hawks' true loyalties are here? Because I mean, we've seen over the last few chapters, he was the one who led the heroes to the hospital where they've been, attacked by all these Nomu. Do you think that maybe he's turned into a bit of a triple agent and that he's working against the heroes, or do you think no, he's still a good guy?
Well, I like to believe that he is a good guy, but that's what the manga is making us believe. And so, how crazy would it be that there's this twist that he's actually a bad guy? And the best way to really make this twist happen is that some hero that we already care and love about, he literally stabs in the back and kills in front of all of us. And that would be a big shock, especially if it's a way for him to prove himself to other villains that he
Hmm.
really is a part of this paranormal liberation front. And so I just really think that'd be cool. I don't know if it's true, that he's actually on their side, but I kind of would like him to be a bad guy, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, he's been integrated with them for a while now. Like, it's possible that he went in there with good intentions, and now he's been integrated for so long that he's starting to believe it. I mean, because we did see with Twice, like him and Twice do have a genuine friendship. I personally don't think that's fake. I think they do actually like each other. But what
Okay.
do you think
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, that's a really good point, and that could actually be his entry point into uh, being on the dark side, to enter into that and just be like, maybe I do actually like what they're saying more than, this world of pro heroes.
Hmm. Yeah, because I mean, we know Hawks' philosophy. It's all about freedom, right? He just wants to live a chill life, not too much crime, and so like the whole point of like the paranormal liberation front is to liberate society, where everyone can essentially use their quirks, and there isn't such a thing as a pro hero really, because everyone can use their quirks. So I
Right.
think in a way you could see how his ideology would line up with them, right?
Right. Right. Exactly. 100%. I mean, what do you think? Do you think he's actually a bad guy or do you think he's a good guy?
Now, at this moment, I do actually think he's a good guy. Like at heart, I do actually think he has the potential to be turned, though. Just based on like the things I just said in terms of his philosophy. I guess it all comes down to how successful this next this next like storyline is. So the heroes are all getting attacked. If they're all defeated, what does he do? He can't. He can't take on the whole army by himself, can he? So if the heroes are defeated, he might not have any choice but to stay with the Paranormal Liberation Front and keep pretending to be a bad guy, and who knows, maybe eventually he will actually become one. But yeah, if the
Yeah.
heroes are defeated, there's nowhere for him to turn to because he can't just leave. Like he's in
Right.
deep now.
Right.
So yeah,
Right. Right. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. No, that's good. That's good.
and so that kind of leads me into the next question. So one big mystery that people have been speculating about for a long time is Hawks' fate. So, like I said, he's in deep. Will the heroes, if they succeed, will they punish him for killing Best Genius, if indeed he's done that? Or do you think if the villains succeed, will they kill him for betraying them, or does he get out clean? Like no one finds out about what he's done.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if he's, if he is still a good guy and gets caught, he's gonna get turned into a Nomu for sure. 100%. Just expect that. Um,
Yeah.
uh, if if he's a bad guy, I think we're gonna see him do some heavy damage to the heroes. But I think in the end run, they'll get their justice, and Hawks will be eliminated, arrested, whatever you want to put it. Is going to happen to him. So, but it's hard because we really don't know, is he, what side is he really on?
Hmm. And this brings me to another question actually. So let's say in an ideal world the heroes win, right? Hawks, if the heroes win, would it be right for Hawks to go to jail for killing Best Genius? Like, let's imagine in an ideal world they win and they find out he killed him. At the end of the day, he was given this task by the government to infiltrate the League of Villains and to, do whatever was necessary. So, do you think he deserves to go to jail?
That is so hard because uh, I mean, obviously, I'm not a double agent, but if I was a double agent, what would it take to really prove your loyalty to be able to get in, And I feel like in some instances, things just have to be forgiven because you're just doing your job. Um,
Yeah.
and that's sad, uh, but possibly very true. So, no, I think that he should be forgiven.
Mm. Yeah. I mean,
But
once Endeavor finds out about that, he's not letting Hawks get off easy. Like, I don't care how good friends they are. Endeavor is going to beat the crap out of him if he finds out.
right, right, right.
But on the topic of like Endeavor and the Todorokis, obviously this theory's been going around, I think, for years. But
Yeah,
do you
forever.
think?
From the moment he
Yeah,
showed up.
honestly, man. Do you think Dabi is Endeavor's son, who's Toya Todoroki?
Yeah, I don't think there's any way that he can't be. The problem is that it is yet to be stated, and Dobby has been around Todoroki. He's been around Endeavor on at least one or two occasions, and no one from either party has said anything to each other or behind closed doors. And so that means that if Dobby is Toya, then there had to have been something that happened to him, some sort of change. And so I have this idea that Toya actually did die. Maybe Endeavor took things too far and Endeavor basically abused his child to death, whatever. But either way, Toya died. That is my thought process. Um, and maybe someone had a quirk that brought people back from the dead, but maybe there were certain aspects to that would make Toya look a little bit different, and more specifically, that Toya would not have his memories from his past life. And so Dobby literally started from the moment that Toya was brought back to life. And so this is all things that would have to be revealed later when they start, exploring Dobby's past. But yeah, I really do think that that would be that, and that also explains some of the stitches, some of those different aspects.
Hmm.
Um, to go along with that. But I don't think it can be just as simple as, oh, yeah, that's Toya. There has to be more because why is nobody talking about this?
Yeah, I mean, well, you did kind of mention it just there, but Endeavor does think that Toya's dead, right? Like Endeavor admitted to
I think
Natsuo, he
so.
was like,
Yeah.
so at least he thinks that happened. So you might be right in that aspect. The one thing that I would disagree with you a bit on, though, I do think that they have spoken about it because, like, if you remember when I think it was during the Pro Hero arc, Dabi approached Endeavor, right? And so there were two things. One, it's very convenient that Endeavor couldn't see properly in that scene. I think his eyes were like blurry. He was like, "Oh, I can't see properly," and then obviously Dabi standing right in front of him. And if that is his son, then clearly he'd recognize him in normal circumstances. So I found it weird that Horikoshi specifically was like, Endeavor can't see properly in this scene. That was the first like red flag. The second one was that Dabi was like to him, "We need to have a chat." Basically, he was like, "Now that I've got you, we need to talk, Endeavor." And then Mirko shows up out of nowhere and kind of just like cuts that conversation short. But I feel like if he was reborn in the way that you said and didn't remember things, I feel like he probably wouldn't have had any reason to have a chat with Endeavor specifically. And I think one of the other things that people have mentioned is that whenever he's interacted with Todoroki, Shoto or Endeavor, he's always called them by their full names. He's always said like Shoto Todoroki or Enji. Uh, whereas with other characters, he doesn't really do that. So I feel like Dabi knows, and he's just waiting for the right moment to drop this bombshell on them. Potentially when he's about to kill them, or when he thinks he's about to kill them anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. What do you think?
But again, I mean, like in the forest training arc or whatever, when Dobby takes Bakugo, Todoroki was there. He saw him, and again, like that should have initiated something inside him. Like, whoa, this dude looks like my brother. Like my brother died. What? How is he still alive? But yet
Hmm.
nothing came out of that, and that's where it really pushes me to think that there has to be something going on there. And maybe Dobby does remember things. Maybe he does remember his past life. Or maybe the reason why he wants to talk to Endeavour is because he himself is seeing the similarities. He himself is like, man, I got these these memories that I can't totally piece together, and I'm trying to figure out who I am.
Oh.
But why are you in my memories, Endeavour? Why are you there? Like, I need to know what's going on because I'm trying to piece some things together, and this makes no sense. But maybe I'm overcomplicating it.
No, no, maybe not. I mean, the one thing I would say about Shoto though is that obviously we know his childhood was so traumatic. He was almost like segregated from his brothers and sisters, wasn't he? Like made to train by
Okay.
himself
Okay.
whilst they were able to play. So it's possible that maybe he wouldn't recognize Dabi if it was Toya, especially with like all the scars and the fact that he's grown up since then. Um,
Hmm.
yeah,
Okay.
I don't know, but I mean, it's possible. I mean, whenever this is revealed, I mean, has to be revealed sometime soon. I hope within the next year at least, because we've been waiting so long.
Right.
So I'm really,
Right. Right. Yeah.
so we just need this story, especially like we got the backstory of a lot of the villains, Toga, Twice, Shigaraki. Like people were waiting for Dabi to be revealed, and it just never came. So I'm hoping that it happens in this war arc. But just before we like round out the video, do you have any expectations for this arc that's going on in the manga right now? Like in terms of, maybe a hero gets hit with a quite destroying bullet or something crazy like that. Do you have any expectations for what's about to happen?
Well, I typically read it with no expectations. I'm just excited. However,
Yeah.
I really would like to see. Honestly, I'd like the villains to win. I would like the whole world to get flipped upside down, and that essentially Deku's second year never can really happen because everything gets flipped upside down, and he's so busy trying to deal with what is going on. Because with that shift, I would imagine that schools like UA would be irrelevant because you don't need a
Yeah.
hero license anymore because the Paranormal Liberation Front has changed all that. They've changed the rules of the game. Um, and I would even argue that with Shigaraki being the head of that, the Deku would be on the run. So that's what I would like to see. I don't think it's realistic. I don't think it's going to happen. I think the heroes will win, yay! But I always love when villains win and heroes die because it's just unrealistic. Because
Yeah.
everybody loves a good ending.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too sure about the heroes being able to win though, because right now those higher nomus though, like they're actually
Yeah,
freaks of nature. Um,
right.
if you took the nomus out of the equation, I would actually give the heroes such a good chance. But it's just the fact that they have multiple quirks. Imagine just having like they're basically like mini all for ones. They have all these different
Mhm.
quirks. They're super powerful, and yeah, and the higher ones specifically, they have intelligence as well. So
Yeah,
yeah, even though it's expected that eventually the heroes will win, right now I'm actually kind of in the ballpark of yeah, the villains are gonna win. He's not going back to school anytime soon. He's gonna need to like
yeah,
go on this massive potentially. You remember what All Might did, going to America and like training there.
yeah,
Do,
yep.
do you think Deku could maybe do something like that?
Well, but I think All Might was already in college at that point. I thought.
Yeah, so
Um,
All Might graduated, but I mean that wasn't.
yeah,
This is kind of a different circumstance in that there's like a war going
right,
on, so you might have to
right.
leave.
Might have to leave. Oh, it's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. That'd be a really nice way to introduce some new, a new school, a new cast of characters. Especially if it's just him and a few others go with him. Because I don't
Yeah.
think the whole school could be at the same place he is. That's an interesting take. I'd like to see that. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on the channel today, man. I really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, definitely, man, dude. Anytime. This is fun.
A lot of people might not know this, but you were literally like one of the first people to find my channel. I remember you like commented on one of my videos when I had like less than 20 subs. I don't even know how you found my channel.
I would imagine that it was with what was his name? Is it Wreck It Reezy? Is that a guy?
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah, Wreck It
do you
Reezy,
know?
yeah.
Do you know him? Yeah, because I think I found him first, and I don't know if you're connected with him at all, but I probably found you through that. But either way, yeah, man. No, I just remember you posting it, and then you took some time to get to your next one, and I was just trying to give you a little bit of encouragement. Keep going, man. You got this. And the next thing you know, you're like just on fire. Like you're literally lit, bro. You're just going places. I love it. I'm proud of you, dude. You're doing great.
Thank you so much, man. And listen, to all my subscribers watching this right now, I'd really appreciate it if you check out My Hero My Life channel. He makes awesome videos, especially what if videos as well. Like I really like your what if videos.
Oh,
And in fact,
thanks, man.
we did one together,
We
didn't we, as
did.
well?
Yeah, yeah. You should definitely link that, guys. Go check out that video. We did that a long time ago, though, didn't we?
Yeah, it was like November. But yeah, the link to that video will be on screen right now. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace out.